It's that time, folks. That trilogy fight, aka rubber match, the end of the beef, whatever you want to call it. Technically, it isn't beef. Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez and El Gallo Juan Fransisco Estrada are meeting up this weekend for the conclusion of one of the greatest flyweight trilogies in boxing history. So without further ado, let's chop it up.
Hey, hear him. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier.
Hey, what's up with it, family? It's Hot Boxing Minute, your favorite pharmaceutical engineer turned boxing analyst, back at you with that uncut, raw, gutter realness. And we're going to talk about that trilogy fight. Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez, Juan Fransisco Estrada are meeting up this weekend, December 3rd, in the year of our Lord 2022 at the Diamond, whatever it's called, arena. Let me get the correct name before I butcher this up. Hold on a second, folks. December 3rd at the Desert Diamond Arena in Glendale, Arizona. Pardon my Arizona peeps. That's right out there in the Phoenix area for those of you that don't already know. We got Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez, the fighting pride of Nicaragua, former pound for pound top dog on the list. He's been, got a couple of L's here and there and subsequently been dropped off the top 10 pound for pound list for some people. For others, he's still on that list. Juan Fransisco Estrada, one of the four kings of the flyweight division. For those of you who have not been paying attention, there have been Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez, Juan El Gallo Fransisco Estrada. You've got Carlos Cuadras and the Rap King Sarisket Sorunvisai. You can go ahead and throw Kazuto Ayoka in there, Dani Nietes if you want to. A slew of other names, that have been in the mix for the last about 5 to 8 years, but Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez and Juan Fransisco Estrada have definitely sat at the top as far as their reputations are concerned. I think Chocolatito, his reputation might be a little higher, seeing as how he was the dude for at least 1 or 2 years there, was ranked the #1 pound for pound fighter in the world. Let's go over their physical dimensions. Some people hate that stuff. I'm a stickler for the details, so it matters to me. The current champion, or at least the one of the two that does have the belt, that would be the Ring magazine belt or the Ring Lineal. Juan Fransisco Estrada currently is 43-3 with 28 KOs. He's 5'4" with a 66-inch reach. He is a 2-division world champion at super flyweight and flyweight. You got Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez, who is 51-3 with 41 knockouts. He's 5'3" with a 64-inch reach. Size and reach advantage go to Juan Fransisco Estrada, although that hasn't played much of a factor in their rivalry or in Chocolatito's performance thus far in his career. Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez, up until this point in boxing history, is Nicaragua's only 4-division boxing champion. He's been in this game for a while. He's now competing at the super flyweight limit, which I believe is 115, if I'm not mistaken. They both have roughly lost to the same people. They both lost to Sorunvisai. Juan Fransisco Estrada has got those 3 losses. Chocolatito, he lost one time to the Rat King Sarisket Sorunvisai, and then Juan Carlos Sanchez, who himself was a former champion, I believe, in the flyweight division. Don't quote me on that. Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez has lost 3 times, 2 times to the Rat King, and 1 time to Juan Fransisco Estrada. Now, this rivalry didn't exactly begin overnight. Like, for those of you who don't really know, this rivalry between Chocolatito and Gallito, Juan Fransisco Estrada and Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez, began with their first fight in November 17th, 2012 at the Sports Arena out there in Los Angeles. At the time, Roman Gonzalez was regarded in boxing circles, but had not yet competed on U.S. television. As is most often the case in boxing history, the flyweights get overlooked despite always constantly being one of the more action-packed divisions in boxing. Now, few people saw that first fight. It was carried by Wealth TV. Do you remember Wealth TV? I certainly don't. But either way, they were the main event at the Los Angeles Sports Arena. It wasn't even a packed house, but it was an unforgettable fight at the time. Juan Fransisco was a 22-year-old prospect who, if I'm not mistaken, had not won a championship belt just yet, but he was undefeated and was known for his aggressive fighting style. Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez was making the 5th defense of his WBA junior flyweight title. Now, that fight itself was an epic barn burner. I was trying to find the CompuBox fight stats for that particular fight back in 2012. At the time, Chocolatito was 25. Juan Fransisco Estrada was 22. They were young. They were in their prime. I do remember they both easily threw over 1,000 punches. And if you don't know, that's a hell of a lot of punches. Now, that second fight, that rematch, that first fight, by the way, was hotly contested. It came down to a unanimous decision win for Chocolatito. But oddly enough, many people felt Juan Fransisco Estrada should have got the win, or at the very least, that it should have been a draw. Now, the irony is how the second fight 9 years later out there in 2021 actually turned out. So that second fight between Ramon Chocolatito Gonzalez and El Gallo Juan Fransisco Estrada went down on March 13th, 2021 in Dallas at the American Airlines Center. This time, Chocolatito was making his third defense of his WBO super flyweight title that he had won off a crazy upset victory over Kal Yafai. At this weird point in Chocolatito's career, he had caught an L to Sarisuke Sorovisai, and quite a few people were dismissing him. Either way, he caught that belt, and Estrada, Juan Fransisco, was defending his green WBC belt and a ring belt that he had won off Sarisuke Sorovisai. Now, as if their 2012 battle wasn't electric enough, that battle that they had in 2021 in Dallas topped that one. They threw a staggering 2,529 punches, which to this day is a record for super flyweights. I think overall it landed 705 punches. The frenetic action led to a bunch of really close rounds. In the end, when all was said and done of that fight, which went the full distance, it ended up becoming a split decision win in favor of Juan Fransisco Estrada. Now, the odd part was, at the conclusion of that fight, you could hear the audience boo that decision. I watched that fight. I thought Chocolatito won it by at least a round, if not two. Now, that's the part that makes it very unusual in this rivalry. In the first fight, they gave it to Estrada. Many people felt Chocolatito should have got it or it should have been a draw. In that second fight, they gave it to Estrada, but everybody thought it should have gone to In that first fight, they gave it to Chocolatito. Many people thought it should have gone to Estrada. In that second fight, it went to Estrada. Many people felt it should have gone to Chocolatito. Either way, that third fight, the conclusion of this epic trilogy between Juan Fransisco Estrada and Ramon Chocolatito Gonzalez, is going to be December 3rd out there in Arizona, in Glendale, at the Desert Diamond Inn. And we all love trilogy fights. I think the last trilogy fight I can really recall was the one that went down between Deontay Wilder and the Gypsy King Tyson Fury. And we saw what a spectacular fight that was going to be. Now, going into this fight, we can only judge fighters by their most recent performance. I know that's kind of whack. They both have huge bodies of work. But for what I'm going to analyze going into this fight, being that they both have been through a lot of wars, I can only rate them by their most recent performance. Now, Juan Fransisco Estrada is coming off a win, a unanimous decision victory, a hard-fought victory over Arhi Cortez. People were very dismissive of Arhi Cortez, even though he is under the Nacho Beristain school out there in the Romanza gym in Mexico City. So he does come under great tutelage and guidance. And he gave Juan Fransisco Estrada one hell of a fight. It looked like Juan Fransisco Estrada was feeling the effects of Father Time. On top of that, I believe he's had 3 kids in a very short period of time, which really, I don't know if that affects a fighter or not, but he's 32 years old, and in super flyweight, that's like dog years. Now, speaking of being 32, you got Chocolatito. He himself is 35 years old, but his most recent fight, which was, I believe, earlier this year, if not late last year, was when he fought El Rey Martinez, who was a human wrecking ball that was knocking out people left and right. Well, surprise, surprise, Chocolatito schooled the hell out of El Rey Martinez and essentially put on a clinic and made the young bull look very novice. It was an astounding fight, which he won by 12-round unanimous decision. Now, based off their last 2 performances, I'm of the mindset that Chocolatito is going to run away. I'm talking about not run away physically, but he's going to run away on the scorecards and end up taking massive control of this fight in this trilogy. I think this is going to be the fight where Chocolatito creates the distance and ends up getting the win by decision. I don't see him putting out Juan Fransisco Estrada. Now, this fight can go any way regardless. I think it's going to be a fun, competitive fight. But I think this is Ramon Chocolatito Gonzalez fight to win. Both of these men are heavily invested in winning this fight. Chocolatito, of course, he wants to prove that he's still one of the pound-for-pound best in the game. Juan Fransisco Estrada, oddly enough, despite the fact that the people of his country, Mexico, love him, I don't believe overall he has received nearly the kind of recognition that Ramon Chocolatito Gonzalez has. So I'm sure Juan Fransisco Estrada is eager to prove to everyone that he was the better of the two this whole time during the trilogy. So they're both very compelled to win, but I'm picking Ramon Chocolatito Gonzalez to win by 12-round unanimous decision. Boxing community, what do you think about this trilogy fight coming up this weekend? Arguably, probably the best fight that we have to finish out the year. Who do you think is going to win between the two flyweight kings? Ramon Chocolatito Gonzalez or El Gallo, Juan Fransisco Estrada? Let me know in the comments section, folks. Hit that like button if you haven't already done so, or you're not already following your boy. Anyways, this is Hot Boxing Minute, the future of boxing analysis on YouTube and TikTok. Peace.